Yeah, I'm gonna try to do this in one take. Today I'm gonna be talking about the progress I've made on my game engine written with the Julia programming language called JulGame. And it's been about a year since my last update. It was a devlog, and a lot has changed since then. So a lot of the work has been on the editor. I'm This is not gonna be very edited. This is just gonna be me talking. I think if I try to make an edited list of all the things that I've changed, all the things that I've done, it's just never gonna come out. And I think I've started a video, started a script so many times to show the changes I've made, but just have not gotten there. So what I'm gonna do today is kind of just go through anything I can think of and talk about the changes that were made. So this is gonna be off the cuff, and I'm gonna try to show some examples of what the old engine editor looked like and the significant changes I've made. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna pull up the old video um, from the last devlog and kind of analyze that. Excuse me. Kind of analyze that and then talk about what's changed. So the biggest thing here is that absolute biggest thing is this. So I talked in another kind of off the cuff video of the issues I was having with the editor. Excuse me. So I was talking a bit off the cuff about the issues I was having with the editor in the video, and the biggest issue that I was having was that I needed to render the editor itself, so all of this around here itself with OpenGL, and then this black screen was the SDL renderer. So essentially I was creating a new window to have the editor game scene that showed everything I was working on, and then I had to have logic in the engine that was like, oh, if I click here and I'm in editor mode, that I would send a message back to this process where this process would, kind of do updates. I'm not going to get too much into that. But essentially, it was very janky. It was not fun. It was not cohesive. The lack of, I guess, cohesiveness with this. The biggest thing is I could not do drag and drop. I can't really show it since this is just the video, but essentially, I would be trying to drag and drop something from this window to that window, and that just sounds like something that would be too much work than it's worth to make a good experience. And just having two different windows was a pain in itself, because I click on this window, now I lose focus on this window. I click on this window, I lose focus on this window. I had to make this an always on top. So if I minimize this window, then this thing would stay up, and that would cause a bunch of weird errors because this secondary window was tracking the position of this window and then like this scene view here. So it was like the top corner was always had to stay here, and it was just jank. I had that other video where I kind of talk and kind of show what it was doing, but I'm not going to get into that here. So another big thing was that all of the file system stuff was, I had to type it out. So if I wanted to load a scene, essentially I would go here, then I would paste the file location of the scene, I think, yeah, of the base project, and then type in the scene file name here and then click load scene. And that was kind of a pain because it was just like every time I wanted to open a project, and as someone who's actually developing the editor, I was constantly like rerunning this. So I'm like, making a change, then closing it, then reopening it, then having to reopen the project by pasting that in, making sure it's in my clipboard. If it's not, going back and copying that. It was just a pain. And then playing essentially this play button, I would click it, and then I had a batch script for Windows, and the batch script would run a separate Julia process, which I actually wasn't really separate. And and that only ran at like 20 FPS, and it would open a new window. It was just a pain. Everything was just a pain with this. And so my goal was to eliminate a lot of these pain points in the past year. The biggest being the 2 separate windows. That was just something where I'm like, it's not going to feel real, like it's a real thing until I get this fixed. So I basically had to figure out how to do that. I'm not going to go into that. I'll probably leave a link of the repository that I created, but essentially I had to create an SDL renderer backend for this IM GUI in Julia. And so I just went to the C++ version and basically converted C++ code to Julia code, but that was a big pain because I had to do memory management and stuff like that, and trying to figure out how things translated from C++ to Julia was a pain for me, and I didn't really have like a ton of guidance. I had like another repository to look at, like the OpenGL backend, and then kind of there were some things I could use from that, but it was just like learning how to convert that code was a pain in the ass. And I think that process took me probably about 4 months, not like of every single day, but it was like, I think maybe January or February last year I started it, and then I remember I didn't get it done, figure it out, and get all the issues gone until July of last year. So that was like a whole 7-month thing, and when I get stuck on something, I could not, I just couldn't get my mind off of it, so a lot of the work on the other parts of the engine just lagged. So, and then once I got that fixed, then momentum on the engine picked up again. Excuse me. So I'm going to kind of go through and just like anything I can think of. I'm definitely going to miss some things. Anything I can think of in the engine, I'll show. So let's start off. I guess let's go top left and then kind of move our way over. You'll see this looks a lot cleaner. This is a project. Maybe I'll talk about it at the end. This is a project I'm working on. But let's go here. So file, in our file menu, we can actually create a new project. So I can set a project name, whatever my project name is, select a directory, and then I can select somewhere on my file system, and instead of typing it out, and of course it clears out when I do that. But I can select a directory, make a project name, and then when I do that, what it'll do is it'll actually like essentially like create like all the file structure needed for a compilable Julia project. So then it's very easy to turn your project into a package or actually compile it into like an executable. So that'll build all that stuff out. It'll create like it'll create like an init file, like a Julia init file, and then it'll create all the folders for assets, for scripts and stuff like that. Maybe I'll show it. So and I actually don't think I've used this on Linux. So let's see. Projects, Julia, and then we'll select that folder. We'll name it test, and then let's confirm. Okay, cool. So hopefully that created it. So let's go to file. Then I can open my project. So then I have a warning here because I don't have any fail safes for like if you open a project and you don't save your project. So I just give a warning here. That's new, obviously. And then okay, and then now I can go to my projects, my documents, my projects, and then Julia, and then test. Oh, created. Okay, cool. So I go into test, and then it'll create kind of like a double directory here, and then we actually open a file now. So I have this config file. It's config. I just named it .julgame. So click that file, and then that will open it. And so I create a scene already. Create a scene. And then when you want to open a scene, you click the scene in the scene list. This is still janky. That's something I need to fix. It'll also give that warning because when you're switching scenes, it will not like save your data. So you need to make sure you're saving before you're changing scenes. Then we have our scene here. And then let me show you what we can do. So in our scene now, we can create, we can do this before, create new entities. With our new entities, we have a scene view, so our actual scene, and then we have a game view. So this game view, this is new. The scene view was working in the old editor, but the game view was not a thing. So the game view is like what the game should actually look like. And I'll get into that, but let's kind of mess around with this scene first. So the new thing is we can add some different components now. Most of these were here. I think the new one is shape. So we can add a shape component, and that's if like I don't have any images or anything like that. I can just real quickly create something, the shape component, and then I can add some scripts. My shape component, I can change the color, which is kind of janky right now because it's just kind of like an RGB value. It's not like a real color input, but yeah, I can do that. And then the cool thing is I can add a script. So if I name the script, let's just name test script, I guess, and then create new script. And then what that will do is, you can't see it on this screen, but I'll pull my VS Code up, and then it'll open that script in VS Code. And when it does that, it creates a script. It creates the structure of the script, how we need it. It'll wrap it. It's wrapped in a module, and then it'll include the using JulGame. And then it will set the script up the way we need it. So our scripts are based off of structs. So we have these structs, and then they draw from this like abstract script. I don't know. I think it's an abstract class. I don't know. But this abstract data type, and we have our constructor, and then we have our JulGame built-in function. So we have our initialize, which is called at the beginning of the scene. We have update, and then shutdown. So that's, clean up stuff in there. And then there's some comments in here already, and it kind of tells you what these things do. I'm not going to get into that too much, but yeah, so that's pretty nice, right? If I use this example, speed float 64, I think I need to name it editor export, yeah, and then throw it in some curly braces. I think that's how I do it. Then if I save it, and then if I go back to here, which I want to make this more automatic, but if I go back here, I need to actually add the script. It doesn't automatically add it, which it should. Then if I go here, it looks like there's a bug. Oh well, we'll figure that out later. So I don't know what's going on, but yeah, so usually if I do that and then reload the script, then it will do that. I think I got it. So this is also a new thing. The debug menu shows some exceptions, and I think I figured it out just from this. I can copy it to the clipboard. I can open it in VS Code. Sometimes it points to like a Julia, like a base function, so it won't open. I need to kind of refine that. But I think it's because I didn't actually define this in my constructor. Maybe, let's see. So let's try that. So I set the Z speed to 1.0. Let's try that, and then, okay, there we go. So if I reload the script, now I can edit this value, and then I think I can actively see it too as well. I can edit this value. I can Control S to save my scene, and then ideally, if I remember correctly, the editor will override the constructor, but it will not override initialize. So this is kind of like in Unity, like you can set the value, but then if you go to the editor, it'll update the value if it's not, if it's just set in the like, not initialize function, but if it's just kind of set in the script. So then I can modify that. That's really cool. So I can kind of inspect certain data. Right now, like it works for float, ints, and strings, and I want to add more support for other things. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And then the other, like in my opinion, the biggest thing is that I can actively run my games in the editor, right? Like this is what the game view's for. So let me kind of show you a simple way to show that the game's actually running. So let's go to this entity. Let's add a rigid body. Let's make sure it uses gravity. And then just to show the scene, I can save the scene also from this menu. And then I can go to play pause scene. It'll say the same thing. Do you want to stop the game? Because it will essentially reload the scene from like the scene file in the file system. So it will, if it's not saved to that file, it's just going to get overwritten. So we'll start it. Boom. Right. And then if I go to scene, hopefully this works, stop the scene, it'll reset the scene. So it'll reload it from that file. So that's really cool. Another thing is we can customize our camera. Let's go down here. This is what I was talking about. So this is kind of the standard color picker I want to add to all items with colors on them. So I can easily update this. And this is like a built-in IMGUI thing. It has some, nice things. It's alpha RGBA. It also has HSVA. And then we also have hex input. So that's really nice if you're like, grabbing a specific color that you just want like one value, to paste in. We can update the camera size. This will be the window size, I believe. So we can update the window size. Oh no, this is the camera size. Sorry. We'll update the camera size, and this is kind of the view in the game. And then for the project config, this is like the actual project config. This is the config file. We can update the width, the height, the frame rate, the window name, the average or the standard pixels per unit for the project. Some auto scaling stuff if you're changing window size, which I don't think window. Oh, it is resizable is here. Full screen is here, and then we save the config down here. We can also add UI elements. So if I open this, I can add text box and screen button. The UI is still very basic right now. The nice thing is I've also updated all file system access stuff. So just like the scene thing in the initial engine, the loading of images is updated as well. So we can kind of have a drop down, and then it'll have all of the images in our project. So also whenever we've created our project, this is going to be kind of a pain to show. Let me go to files, documents, projects, Julia test. I've already added some assets in here from JulGame. We have some stuff. I've added a font. These button images are added, and then no sounds, images and fonts. So this button up, button down, and I have a way now to make that kind of built in. But yeah, so now it'll search your file system, and then it'll give you, it'll search for PNGs, JPEGs, a bunch of different file types. And then we can just click it, right? Instead of just like, I have to paste it in, and then I got to press a button. And if I update the button, let's say I update the button up to button down, it breaks. What happened? I don't know. So, there's still some bugs to work out. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. There's probably just something little I changed. So that's really cool. What else? I think also the biggest thing next is adding testing, because stuff like that is probably a change I made very recently. So That's what's coming very soon is you know, some editor testing. So then when I make changes to the editor or the engine, I can be sure that if something breaks, I'll be warned about it. So like something like that, I need to test essentially clicking this button down, and then that, you know, there's no errors thrown. Um, yeah, I think that's covers most of it. Oh, there's also a search. I don't know. I guess there's only one entity. So let's add a new entity. Let's name it test, I guess. And then see immediately it removes it from there. So I can search entities, which is really nice. Oh yeah. Let's delete that. I can parent entities now to other ones. This is really janky still. I still need to really work on this, but this is going to clean up scenes a lot. I can, let's add a bunch of new entities. I can multi-select entities. I think it's control. Yeah, control. And then if I do a shift select, can I drag all of these in there? I think no, just one. So just one right now. Um, Okay, I can make it a shot of that. I'll have to look into that. That's still something that's in the works right now, but I'm still, you know, I'm making progress on it, so I'm really happy about that. Um, but yeah, I think I have to do it all in one swoop. I remember I still haven't finished that. But it's in the works. Let's let's just add some new entities here. Then let us boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah, the we've added unique IDs to the entities as well. So I can copy this ID to the clipboard, and then there's in the API, I have a function that's just get entity by name, and then we can use this unique or this get entity by ID, and then we can use this unique ID to identify the entity, which is really cool. So I like that. That's been super useful. Eventually we're going to actually move the list of entities into the dictionary, and then this will be the key. So then the entity right now it's just a search, but then that will be much faster to find an entity. So, but that's an optimization. It just kind of it'll be easy to do, but it's just I haven't seen any performance problems to really merit taking the time to do it quite yet. Then what else? The new scene view, which is nice. It's kind of a grid. Then I've shown the game view already, and then with this, now we can actually, you know, do the scene view here. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. So the other thing is that this is a big thing, which is still also in the works. Everything's just in the works right now. We can do sprites, and we can, let's say I go in and I need to clean up this view. Let's say I go in, I can preview my sprite, right? I can go to my scene, which has that sprite now and that entity, and I can crop my sprite. So I go to the game, boom, that's part of the sprite that's cropped. See that? Yeah, I can crop it. And then if I reset those values to 000, and I'll add a button to do that. All this is 000, it'll go back to the main, like just showing the entire sprite. So that also, I also have that for animations. So if I go to add new animator, then I can add an animation, and then add a frame, and then we're going to, which this is also a pain right now, but I can add a frame, and then add a frame here. Or I guess wait, I have two animations. Let's delete that. Boom, and then add a frame here, and then let's do that. Then you notice that there's like little images here. If I hold shift, I can preview them here. If I hold shift at the animation level, it'll actually preview the animation at the FPS. So I'll change it to 1 to show every second. It's updating. So it's a lot easier to preview animations instead of doing it in code. Of course, this all needs cleaned up. It's very obvious that there's a lot of issues here, but having it working, just having it working the way it does has saved me a ton of time with my games. And so I'm super happy with the progress here, and there's a lot more to be done, but this is kind of where I'm at, I think. So I'm super duper happy about it. And then so as a treat to the people who are still at the end of still watching at the end of this video, if there are any, let's go back to that project. Let's go there. Documents, projects, Julia, GMTK, Battler, and then our config. Boom. Looks like there's an error here, but hopefully when I open the scene, it'll... Yep. Cool. So this is what I've been working on. It's not much. It doesn't look like much yet. There's a lot of work I've done here, though. There's a lot of work that is not integrated into the engine that I'll talk about. So the biggest thing that's not integrated in the engine but is in this project is we can binary or pack our assets into the code. So I have a system where basically it will compile all of the assets in our assets folders into I think byte arrays or something like that, and then it will essentially throw it in a cache for JulGame. And when we are trying to retrieve that, it will first look at the cache, and if there's something in the cache, it'll grab that. So essentially, when I package compile this, I don't have to copy the images, the sounds, the fonts. I don't have to copy those to the folder and then just be in there. They'll just be compiled into it. Ideally, we move this to something for bigger projects, something where we create binary files that aren't just sitting in memory. But for the purposes of this game, it's not a lot of data, so I'm fine with that. And I kind of want to see how far I can take it. Like, how much data can we really compile? I assume not too much, but I guess we'll see. So, this project is the Steam game I'm working on. I think I mentioned it. I mentioned it in the Julia podcast, but this is the first preview of it. I don't know if I'm gonna really get into gameplay. I guess we'll see how it works in the editor. There's some things I still need to work out, but let's actually show it. Yeah, it's not gonna work in the editor because I have some things that aren't integrated into the engine yet, like I said. So let's run it separately, and then I can show what's going on here. Is it running? Oh, there we go. Okay. Awesome. So this is called Necromancer. Necromancer is a 2D roguelike match 3 game. So it's a very, very simple concept with a roguelike attached to it. Right now I'm not creating this art. This is why it looks so good. This is just a sketch as well. But I'm not creating this art. I'm just doing the programming. But right now I've been working on some base level stuff. So we can actually, I'm actually working on localization for it as well, which is really cool. I'm really happy about it, but I'm just gonna have it in English. So go into the game. So ideally this is the map view. We have a seed system, which I've already worked on, and it's in a position where it can be kind of serialized and saved. So then if a person wants to quit their run, then the seed, the RNG is saved. So it's consistent. So let's, start the game. You can probably hear the sound. Yeah, I'll turn it down. But this is a banger of a track. Excuse me. So ideally, the game is where you can kind of click on things and match things, and that is your action, right? Right now I just have like 3 turns is, I'm gonna turn my volume down. I think you can still hear it, yeah. So 3 turns is what you get, and then those 3 turns, whatever you match the most of, is the action you're gonna take. So like these swords are attack, the shields are defense. This is a dodge. What is this? This is kind of like a berserker shield, I guess. And this is freeze. I guess we'll see what it is. But these are just different attacks, right? I have it weighted. I'm using the same system I'm using for the localization. Is the system where we have all these descriptions, which will be localized, and the kind of effects and everything like that. So if I click this here and then I switch it here, it'll wait a second and then it'll match, right? We have a little pause there I'm working on, and then up here is the queue. So this is what we'll be matching next from, I guess, from right to left. So the swords will be next. If I do that, see that, and then it'll update the queue after the last match. And then let's say I do another set of swords. Oh wait, I couldn't do that. But I attacked for 18 because I matched 18 swords, right? So the idea is that we make this experience what it really needs to be, and then we go from there and add the roguelike elements like the relics and the kind of the map and the enemies and stuff like that. Most of this is programmer art. This is just kind of like a few art packs I grabbed. Aside from this little skeleton, this is going to be our protagonist. This is real art, but the rest of it is going to be replaced. I can show a little preview of it if I can get it pulled up. Let me get it pulled up and then show you, and then I'll end the video, I think. So this looks so much better, but this is kind of like the mock-up the artist sent me for the icons, but it's going to be a nice hand-drawn look. And even just like the slight gradient, the shadows, and the icons, like, I mean, you can see I think he just drew over this, but you can see the icons, the current icons versus this looks so much better. And then obviously as time goes on, the art will get better. And I still have a lot of work to get it ready for Steam in terms of, you know, integrating the Steam API, achievements, and all that stuff. So, but this is in the process. So I'm going to be, hopefully in the next month or 2, we'll have a Steam page up, be able to gather a wish list and stuff like that. But yeah, so I think I've let this video drag on super long. Probably not going to edit it. I think I maybe pause for a minute at the beginning. But yeah, so this has been the update on JulGame and a little sneak peek for the game I'm working on. So if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, and hopefully we'll have something a little I'll have a little more frequent updates here this year, because I really want to make a push for marketing for this game. But yeah, if you made it this far, really thank you for watching, and I appreciate it, and have a good day. Bye.